So we'll start in a seat, and then from there we'll make our way down to our back. So if you want to start on your back, go for it. Otherwise, we'll be in our comfortable seat here. You can be on your shins, supported with a block, or you could sit cross-legged. Hips can be up on a blanket. And then just rest your hands down. Either stack them on your lap or rest them on your knees. And then if it's comfortable for you, close your eyes or just soft gaze off the tip of your nose. And let's take a big cleansing inhale through the nose. And exhale, mouth. One more like that. Inhale, nose. Exhale, mouth. And then just let your mouth close softly so you're not clenching your jaw. And we'll just do some ujjayi breath. So slight constriction in the back of your throat. And it's like you're creating an oceanic sound or fogging up a mirror. So inhale, nose. Exhale, nose. Inhale, nose. Exhale, nose. 3 more rounds on your own. Maybe you can lengthen the inhale an extra beat, as well as the exhale. And as you're breathing, notice how your body feels this morning. And we're just noticing without judgment. Fold your hands together in front of your heart. And set an intention for your practice today. So just one word, something uplifting, something that you want to carry with you off your mat today. And we'll seal our intention with an inhale breath. And exhale through your mouth. Good. Rest your hands down. Slowly open the eyes. Excellent. And we'll make our way down to our back if you're not already there. You can have your props at the back of the mat. We won't need them too much in this first piece. Maybe just a pair of blocks with you. So we're going to start with a gentle hip opener, Supta Baddha Konasana. So soles of feet together, knees wide. I like to rest my knees on the blocks. So depending on how tight you're feeling this morning will depend on the height of your block. And then just come on down to your back. Soles of feet together, knees wide. And you can even take the arms open like a cactus or goalpost arms. We're going to do a little bit of heart opening today, so this could feel nice just to get things started. Inhale, belly blows up like a balloon. Exhale, belly falls. And then just a few more rounds like that. Inhale, belly expands. Exhale, belly falls. Now, if you feel like you want to open up more, perhaps you remove the blocks, just push them forward so that you can start to feel more of an opening throughout the hips. And then to even intensify this a little bit more, think about pressing your tailbone down into the mat so your low back even might lift a little bit where you could slide your forearm underneath. And that's just going to create and actually bring us back to the natural curve in the lumbar spine, which we want to maintain here. Now start to add some resistance with your feet. So press the four corners of your feet together. You'll feel your inner thighs light up a little bit. And it's like you're pressing the feet together and then pulling them apart at the same time. So kind of sometimes confusing for my brain to wrap my head around that concept, but you're pushing together the feet and then pulling them apart. Maybe your knees go down toward your mat a little bit more, pressing together and acting as if you're pulling them apart. And then 2 more times, pressing and then pulling them away from each other without the feet separating. Good, last one, press the feet together and pull them apart without the feet coming apart. Beautiful. Now take your hands to your outer knees and bring them together. Draw your knees into your chest and take some circles with the knees. So just do like 3 circles in one direction, massage the low back, and 3 in the other direction. Good. Take your feet down to your mat. Extend your right leg nice and long and draw your right knee into the chest. You might grab behind the thigh or on top of the shin. Interlace the fingers and you can take the knee toward the left armpit. Maybe bring it toward the chest and forward and then to the armpit. So now we've got these circles going with one knee. So starting to lubricate the hip joint, open up still through hips and groin. Good, and then take the circle the other way. Beautiful. Now extend your left leg long and pause. Notice if you feel a difference between the sides. Just already with that little movement, I already feel like my left leg is about an inch longer than my right. So switching sides, right knee draws in, interlacing fingers around shin or behind thigh. And then drawing the knee toward the right armpit, give it a little hug. You can take the knee toward the chest a little bit and then forward. So just take a few more circles to the right. Maintaining your breath. Maybe switch directions. Beautiful. Now extend your right leg long. See if that feels a little bit more even. Okay, so a little bit of core work, core stabilization. So bring your knees to line up over your hips. You can grab on the sides of your mat for leverage here and roll your sits bones forward, bringing a lift in the lumbar curve away from your mat. So it's not rooted down into your mat. Now we'll start with the right toes touching down and then lifting up and then left and lift. So as you can see, I'm going to keep my knees at 90 degrees and then I'm just tapping down alternate feet. If you want to add a little more intensity, you would take both feet down at the same time and then bring them back up. If you want even more intensity from here, you would extend the legs out in front of you and then to a hover and bring them back in. So just choose the intensity that you want right now, but you've got some options. We'll just do a few more of these. Last 2. And 1. Good. Draw the knees into your chest. So we're going to make our way to tabletop to set up for cat-cow. You can roll to one side, press yourself up, grab behind the thighs and roll up. Maybe even take an extra little roll. And then sweep your feet off to one side and come to tabletop. So go ahead and bring your blocks at the top of the mat if they're not there. And then if you want padding down for your knees, which always feels good to me, you could probably leave one of these blankets down most of the practice here for your knees. So shoulders line up over your wrists, spread your fingers nice and wide. Your toes can be tucked or not. Inhale, take the gaze forward, lift the heart, lift the tailbone, feel your belly stretch after that core work. And then as you exhale, press down into your mat like an angry cat, round your spine, and let your neck be soft, head heavy. Good, and then go at your own pace. So take about 4 more rounds of cat-cow. And no need to rush the breath or rush the movement. Let your breath lead your movement and try to have that be as slow and steady as it was when we were sitting down. We'll do 2 more rounds. Good, so we'll come back to the neutral spine, gaze is down and forward a touch. And again, toes can be tucked or not. Root down into the right hand, especially the first finger and thumb, and reach your left arm up to the sky. Inhale, breath. Exhale, thread the needle. We're going to do this a couple times. So you're just going to sweep your left arm under, but your head will not come all the way down. And then inhale, left arm reaches up to the sky. Exhale, sweep the arm under. Good, last one, and then we'll hold, inhale. Exhale, so keep your hips stacked over your knees. You could bring your left ear down to a block or your mat, and then walk your right fingertips forward. Turn your right armpit down. Good, slide your right hand underneath the shoulder and come out of the pose, tabletop. And then we'll switch sides. So rooting down into the left hand, gripping the mat with your finger pads. Right arm lifts up, inhale, breath, reach up through the fingertips. Exhale, thread the needle, sweep the right arm under. 2 more, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. This one we hold. You can stay here. You could come down further, bring your head to a block, keeping hips stacked over your knees, and then walking your left hand forward. So I've got my elbow lifted off the mat, left armpit turns down, and then breathe into your back body. Beautiful. Slide your left hand back and we'll come back up, tabletop. Okay, let's warm up the feet a little bit. Kind of a love-hate relationship with toes pose. So you may already feel a stretch in the balls of your feet here in tabletop, so make sure toes are tucked. Now we're going to try to add a little bit more intensity so you can walk your hands back toward your knees and even take your hands, your fingers, and spread your toes apart. So I've got some weight on my heels. Again, if this right here is too much, just come forward, take some of that pressure off the feet. You can rest your hands on your thighs, or you can reach your arms up. Gaze forward, and your breath is alive. You're lifting up through your inner and outer ankle at the same time as you're pressing down into the balls of your feet. One more inhale. Exhale, bring your hands down to your mat, untuck your toes, and tap out the tops of the feet. Take your knees wide, big toes touch, sink your hips back, child's pose. You could have a bolster here underneath the thighs, on top of the calves. You could take this more upright, or you might sink your hips back. Bring your head down. Maybe the head's on the block. Let the belly hang. And send the breath between the shoulder blades. So inhale. Breathing and expanding the back body. Exhale, softening down into your mat. Now let's add a little stretch for the triceps. So you'll bring the palms together. Walk your elbows forward and then bring your forehead down to your block or your mat. And then you keep walking your elbows forward to feel the stretch more deeply in the triceps and the chest. Good. Extend the arms forward. Plant the hands down. Come back up. Tabletop. We'll make our way to downward facing dog. So tucking toes, rooting down, especially into your first finger and thumb. Lifting your hips up. And then a lot of times we might have like not enough space between our hands and our feet. So I just want to make sure that you can bend your knees a little bit in your dog and lift your tailbone up and then soften your heels down. Your heels do not need to touch down to your mat. Soft neck, soft jaw. If you want to take a break, bring your knees down and come back into the pose whenever you want. Keep gripping the mat with your finger pads. On the next inhale, lift your heels really high. Exhale, bend your knees deeply and look forward. And then make your way to the top of the mat, however you like. Little steps, big steps, lightly hop. Feet are now hips width distance apart. Your hands can be on blocks in your forward fold. Let's just make sure that the neck is soft. Hands might also be down on your mat. And the reason why we want to straighten our legs as much as we can, even if that means we've got blocks, is so that we can feel that juicy stretch in the backs of the legs. If you want to take ragdoll, you'll grab opposite elbows, sway a little side to side. Shake your head no. Nod yes. Sorry if you heard my neck crack there. Good, and then bring your hands down on your mat. Walk them up your shins, or they're on blocks, and find an extension here with the spine. So from tailbone through the crown of your head, find length. Draw scapula back, shoulder blades firm on your back. And then walk your hands all the way up your thighs. Good, let's take some shoulder rolls back. You can really exaggerate this here. and shoulder rolls forward. And then just take some swings with the arms side to side. You can bend one knee and then the other, just start waking up. And then slowly come back to stillness. Good. So feet are hips width distance apart. Ground down into all four corners of your feet. And then press the tops of your thighs back a little bit. So we've got this thing called the greater trochanter, lesser trochanter, and that's right here on the side of the femur bone. We want that lined up right over your ankle. So you might feel like you're even taking a little back bend here. If it feels like too much compression, take the tailbone down just a touch and you'll feel your abs turn on. Okay, inhale, reach your arms up. Grab your left wrist with your right hand. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, take your hips left and your torso right. Your gaze is forward or maybe up a little bit. Keep pressing the tops of your thighs back and find your breath. Stretching out those muscles between the rib cage, which is also going to allow us to take more or to breathe more deeply. Come through center. Grab the right wrist with the left hand. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, take the hips right and the torso left. Gaze forward or up. Notice if you feel a difference here between the sides. And then come back through center. Let that bind go of the wrists. Relax your shoulders down. So a little heart opening here. Bend just the left elbow and think about drawing the scapula down on the left side, your shoulder blade. So you're bending the elbow and sliding the left scapula down. Let's do that 2 more times on this side. Inhale, left arm reaches up. Exhale, bend left elbow and draw scapula down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Now reach the left arm up. Reach the right arm up. And now you're going to bend the right elbow, drawing the right scapula down. So I'll turn my back to you just so you see this. Right arm reaches up. Inhale. Exhale. That right scapula slides down the back. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend elbow. Inhale, reach tall. Exhale, elbow out to the side. Good. Now let's take it all together. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, both elbows bend. Scapula slide down. And keep the elbows in the back plane of your body as much as you can. Inhale, reach up. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. My shoulders are getting tired. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hinge forward at the hips. If it's too much to extend the arms, bring them toward your heart. Come into a forward fold, hands on blocks or to your mat. Shake your head no. Nod yes. Good. So you can bring your hands to blocks. We're going to step back to a low lunge. So right foot will step back and then back knee can come down to your blanket. Walk the hands back so that your shoulders line up right over your wrists, especially if you're using blocks. Front knee aligns over ankle. And then you can let the hips dip a little bit so you start to feel a nice stretch in the front of the right hip. Spine is vertical and you've got some energy reaching up out of the crown of your head. Find your breath. Maybe walk the left foot forward just a touch. Maybe the hands or the blocks come down lower. Now, take the tailbone and think about lengthening it down toward your mat a little bit so your hips lift and your core turns on. Left hand to your left hip, right hand on top of the left thigh or knee. Inhale, grow tall through your spine. Exhale, start a twist so you could just look back. And you might let the front of the right hip dip down a little bit. See if you get more space, more openness through your twist. Pinning the left shoulder blade toward your spine. Option here, left arm can reach back, right arm can reach forward. Gaze can be out in the front or back, whatever feels best for your neck. Squeeze legs strong to the midline. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Bring your twist forward, hands to blocks, and then straighten your front leg. So half splits with blocks. Your knee can be bent as much as you need it to be, or you try to straighten. You're going to peel like the skin of your outer left hip back to draw the front of the right hip forward. And then you can play with the front foot, straightening and flexing. Notice how that changes the stretch. Heart scoops forward, belly draws up. Good. Now walk your blocks forward if you have the space. Still hinging at your hips. So if you have a bunch of rounding in your low back, I want you to stay upright right here. Outer left hip peels back. And then bend your front knee and lift your back knee. So you're in a runner's lunge. And we'll do that same thing. So straighten your front knee, bow to your ability. Come back to your lunge. Good. One more, two more maybe. Straighten and bend. Good. Straighten and bend. Press your hands down onto your mat or blocks and step forward, step or steps, forward fold. Good. Notice the difference between the sides. And let's even ourselves out. So you can grab your blocks, left foot steps back knee comes down. Low lunge, front leg is square, front knee is square, hands on blocks. Maybe let the hips dip down a touch. Feel that nice juicy stretch in the front of the left hip. Gaze forward, spine tall. Breath steady. Okay, adding in our twist. Left hand to the top of the thigh, right hand, right hip. Inhale, grow tall with your spine. Maybe you draw your tailbone down toward the mat a little bit more. And then you can take your gaze back. Now you're peeling the right shoulder blade toward your spine. Stay with this or reach your right arm back and your left arm forward. Now you're squeezing both shoulder blades toward the spine. Just choose where you want your gaze. Squeeze thighs to the midline. Good, and then take everything back through center. Hands to blocks. You can walk them forward just a touch and straighten your front leg. And then play with pointing the foot and flexing. Still trying to keep your hips square as possible to the front of your mat. Good. Now, bend your front knee. Walk your blocks forward. Lift your back knee, and let's flow this a little bit. So straighten and bow to your ability, and then bend the front knee. And straighten and bow. Bend the knee. Last one, straighten and bow. And bend your front knee. Make your way to the top of your mat. Stepping forward. Forward fold. Excellent. Walk your hands up your shins, up your thighs. And we'll do a little standing balance. If you like to do this with a wall beside you, I highly recommend it. I love practicing next to a wall. So you could also set up a block on the highest setting. We're going to be placing the right foot either on the block, or you're going to find balance here. So hug muscle to bone on the left leg and lift your right knee. Now your right hand can of course be at the wall. Flex your right foot, take your left hand to your left hip. Remember, you can always have this touching down on a block. That can feel really grounding. Lift your left arm up to the sky as an option. Maybe your right arm reaches up. Hug legs strong on the left. Option, stay with this one leg Tadasana where the knee is bent, or straighten it. And what I notice when I do this pose is that my right hip likes to creep up. So try to find length in the side body by taking the right outer hip and kind of helping it go down. And then your leg does not have to be up here. It can just be hovering right over your mat. Inhale, breath. Exhale, breath. Squeeze glutes strong on the left side. Keep your spine tall. Good. One more inhale. And exhale, release. Shake that out if you like. So we're going to stay on the left leg. So keep the weight on the left side. Lift the right knee. Again, you've got the wall, you've got your foot on a block. And then we'll take the left hand to the left thigh or to the knee and start your twist. So you'll look back. Maybe you reach the right arm back, or maybe the right hand stays on the hip. But your left leg is still straight and strong and your right outer hip is drawing down. Maybe your gaze goes back. Maybe you fall out of the pose 5 times, and that's all good. Balance changes every day. That's why yoga is called a practice. Good. Now take your twist forward and release the right foot down. Okay, let's switch sides. So grounding down into all 4 corners of your right foot, lifting the kneecap to engage your quads. Hands can start at hips. Left knee lifts. Flex the foot toward your knee. Do what you like to do here. Maybe the foot's on a block or your hand's at the wall. Okay, so if you want to add on, reach the right arm up. So setting your gaze is the most important. So looking at something that's not moving. Maybe your left arm reaches up. And if that feels good, maybe you start to straighten your leg. And then notice if your left hip peels up, press it down, lengthen your left side body. Keep straightening your right leg and lifting your left. And then find your breath and relax your face. Turn up the corners of your mouth. Smile. Good. And then wherever you're at, maybe bring hands back to hips, bend the knee, and step the foot down. Feel free to shake that out. Okay, so again, right leg strong, left knee lifts, flex the foot, maybe your right hand's at a wall. You can keep your left hand at your hip. As you start to take your twist, so you've either got your right hand on the wall or you're going to take your right hand, wrap it around the shin or the top of the thigh. And then start your twist. So maybe the gaze starts first and goes back. Option to reach your left arm back. Might get a little windy, that's okay. Good, and then you can take your left hand back to your hip, take your gaze forward, and release the foot down. Awesome work, shake it out. Okay, so feet are hips width distance apart still, and you're gonna step your right foot back, find a warrior one. So the foot will be at 45 degrees on the back, and then you can bend your front knee. Now just know that the feet are not on a tightrope. You want them at least hips width distance apart. Square your hips as much as you can, as much as your body will allow, to the front of your mat. I like to take my hands to my hips and gently guide my left hip back and right hip forward. Your back leg is straight as much as possible and your front knee is bent to 90 degrees. The fun part here to really strengthen the legs is to act as if you're crinkling up your mat between your feet. Then maybe bend more deeply into the front knee and reach your arms up. Soften your shoulders down. They can be nice and wide. Elbows can bend. Palms turn in toward the midline. Gaze is forward and intentional. And you're breathing. And you're getting a big stretch in the front of the right hip. Good. Take your hands together in front of your heart. Shift forward with your torso. You're going to have an option with your twist. Take it nice and high. Look back to the left. Or wedge your right elbow onto the left knee. Press your palms together. Draw your thumbs to your sternum. If you need to, step the back foot up a little bit. Shorten the stance. And then feel a long line of energy from your heel in the back all the way through the crown of the head. And you're rolling your right rib cage underneath your left. Good. Whatever twist you took, bring it back forward. Reach your arms up. Lift your back heel and step to the top of the mat. Good. Shake it out. Grab water if you need. And notice the difference between those sides. Okay, even ourselves out. Feet are hips width distance apart. Left foot steps back. Warrior one. Front knee bends. Hands can be at hips. Right hip shifts back. Left hip forward. Bend your front knee. Chest spins forward. Notice if you're just opening up and splaying your front ribs, you can think about petting your front ribs down toward your navel. That will soften things here. Beautiful. Reach your arms up. Spread your fingertips wide. You've got some major energy coming out those hands. Keep shifting your right hip back. Bend into your front knee. Good. Bring your hands together at your heart. Shift forward with your torso. Keep a high twist if you like. Just twisting to the right or wedging the left elbow outside the right knee. Maybe you step your back foot up a little bit. I definitely needed to do that. Press your palms together. Draw your thumbs to your sternum. Take your gaze up or down and breathe. So when we twist, we might feel that we can't Breathe as deeply, but I want you to know the breath is still there. You can still take those deep breaths. Notice where your mind goes when things get a little bit challenging. Good. Root down into the feet to lift the chest, bring it forward. Arms reach up. Lift back heel. And big step, top of your mat, Tadasana. And shake that out. Okay, feet hips width distance, ground down into all four corners of the feet, hands at hips. Step your right foot back, this time high lunge. So now your back heel's lifted, which is obviously different from Warrior One, and it's gonna be harder because we're having to balance a little bit more. So bend the front knee, lift the back thigh as much as you can, and reach your arms up. And then the same thing we did at the beginning of class. So bend your left knee, open the chest on the left side, and reach up. Then do the right side. Right elbow bends, scapula slides down, right arm reaches up. Left, reach up. Right, reach up. Left, and right. Good. Inhale, reach up. Bend deeper into the front knee, and then both elbows bend. Inhale, maybe lift the sternum up. Reach up. For 2 more. And last one. My legs are shaking. Whew. And then reach up. Step to the top of the mat and shake it out. Okay. Left foot steps back. Front knee bends, hips are square. The femur bone presses up into the hamstrings. Arms reach up. Now your knee can always be down. That's fine. Okay, arms up. And then we'll do those fun chest openings. Left elbow bends, slide the scapula down, and reach the arm up. Right elbow bends, reach up. Left, reach up. Right. Good. One more each side. Let's try both for fun. Both elbows bend, maybe lift the sternum. Reach up, in breath. Exhale, elbows wide. Inhale, reach up. Last one. Exhale. Good. Reach the arms up, little step or big step to the top of your mat. Shake that out. All right. Let's do a couple more things while we're standing. So again, if you want a wall, great idea. We're going to make our way into dancers. I'm going to show you a couple different variations. So we'll start on the right leg, hug muscle to bone, lift the kneecap, engage the quadricep. I'm going to take my right hand to the wall, bend left knee, and try to kick your booty with your heel. This might feel like where you want to stay, but if you want to maybe deepen the opening in the chest and you have the knee flexion, you can grab the ankle or the foot. Otherwise, you're just going to stay like this. Your left arm reaches up. Inhale, keep trying to kick your buttocks and then hinge forward. So the heart is going to go ahead of the hips. I have my right hand on the wall, which feels really nice. Straighten the right knee. Try to kick your booty and breathe. If you've got the foot, you've got the right arm reaching up. And you're reaching forward with the right fingertips and you're kicking into the hand. And the hand is pulling into the foot. And then come back to standing. Other side, engage left leg, bend your right knee, and then you choose. Either stay with just trying to kick your booty here. That's going to fire up your hamstrings. And you might have your left hand to a wall, right arm reaches up. You could do this. Or you're going to grab the inside of the foot at the ankle or the top of the foot. Draw the knees to the midline. Reach your left arm up. Heart goes ahead of your hips. Keep kicking into your hand as your hand pulls to the foot. And you're, of course, breathing. Smooth, steady breath. Good. One more inhale. Exhale. Come back to the top of your mat. Good. You can shake that out. Drink water. Okay. So we're going to turn the feet to the long edge of our mat and step the feet. Actually, grab your blocks so you have them handy. You can put them just right in front of the long edge of your mat. So toes turn toward the long edge. Feet are wider than your shoulders. And then lift the armpits to the ears and draw the head of the arm bones back. So the scapula draw down. And then behind your back, you might grab hold of opposite elbows or maybe even interlace your fingers. Keep a little bend in the elbows and then draw the arms away from your hips, so behind you. Good. Now hinge at your hips, lead with your chest, and fold. Option here is to take your hands on blocks and ditch the bind. Now take any crank out of your neck. Just let your neck be soft. Head heavy. Bring your hands down to your mat and walk them forward. You might have your hands on blocks, shoulders stacking over the wrists. I'm going to stay right where you're at, but I'm going to take a side view so you can see how I want your spine to be. So the spine is extended. And you're even pressing down into the outer edge of your of both feet. Now, keep your right hand rooted down onto your block or mat. Take your left hand to your left hip. Inhale, grow longer from tailbone through the crown. Exhale, start to take the front of your right hip toward the midline. So it's like it moves a little bit, and that's going to start your twist to the left. You can take your left hand, keep it on your hip. Gaze can be up or down. Think of the left arm as an afterthought. So if you want to add it in, go for it. Left arm reaches up. You're trying to open up through the left side chest, peeling your left shoulder blade toward your spine, and then choose your gaze. Good, and then bring your left hand down to your block. Right hand, right hip, that's where we start. And then the left hip might move toward the midline a little bit. Inhale, grow long through the crown of your head. And then exhale, begin your twist to the right. Maybe you look up, maybe down. Right arm can reach up. Spread your fingers wide. And take your right scapula, try to pin it toward your spine. Find your breath. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. Good. Right hand comes down. Bring your hands to your hips and come all the way up. Step your feet together and come to the top of your mat. Okay, last little balance here, and then we'll do some really fun, little bit more core work, back bends, stretching, all that good stuff, but we're almost down to our mat. So I want you to take your hands to your blocks and your shoulders will stack over your wrists. Feet are hips width distance apart, and we have our nice long spine. Shift the weight into your left leg and lift your right leg up. You're going to turn the toes down and lift up through your right heel. Try to keep the left leg straight, and the leg that's lifted up in the air, turn the kneecap down to face your mat. Good. Draw the belly in, scoop the heart forward, and then maybe you bring your left hand to your left hip. We've done a lot of twisting. If you want to make this into a twist, you take the gaze up to the left. Maybe reach the arm up, maybe not. Keep lifting your right leg up so strong. Whew. And bring the foot down. Forward fold, let that go. You can bend one knee and then the other. Inhale, breath. Stick out your tongue, lion. Good. Hands to blocks. Gaze forward. Weight into the left foot. Weight into the right foot. Left leg lifts. I think that we'll just do the opposite. Yeah, that's right. Left leg lifts, I think. Yeah, turn the toes down. Kneecap faces down. That's right. Scoop your heart forward. Draw the belly in. I love the use of blocks here because it keeps my spine nice and long. Right hand, right hip. Maybe take the gaze to the right or up. And the right arm can come up, but it's not a big deal if it doesn't. It's just an afterthought. It's just an addition. Turn your lifted kneecap down toward your mat. Your foot can always be down on your mat, and you can work on the strength of the right leg. One more inhale. Exhale, both hands come down. Both feet come down. Good. Now, heel toe your feet as wide as your mat. So the heels are still on my mat, but my feet turn out a little bit. And then bend your knees. Now, if you can't have deep flexion in your knees, you'll just stay upright. If you can go a little bit deeper in your squat, you might even sit on a block. And we're just looking to open the knees up with support. So stretching out the inner thighs. You might not care about having a block. You can sway a little side to side. Good, and then whatever way serves you, we'll make our way down to a seat. Okay. So we're going to do just a couple back bends. And I love to do back bends with props because I have a really cranky low back sometimes. So my favorite thing to do with back bends is grab a bolster. But of course, you can have firm pillows stacked up or a couple blankets would work as well. You could also, if you have an extra yoga mat, that's something you could roll up and that would be nice and firm. So I'm going to bring the front ribs down to the bolster so I can come to Sphinx pose. Shoulders line up over elbows, palms face down, and this bolster is just right underneath the rib cage. You can take your legs nice and wide. This will help if you do feel compression or crankiness in your low back, take the legs wide. Okay, so shoulders line up over elbows. You're gonna draw the low belly in a little bit and act like there's a cute little line of ladybugs crawling underneath. If those freak you out, just have a different visual. We just don't want to smash them. All right, draw scapula down the back. Now we did a ton of work on those legs today. So if you want a quad stretch, you will bend the left knee if that feels okay. And this could feel like plenty. Stay with this, or take the foot. So you grab the inside of the left foot. And then maybe you bend the elbow. And then you add a little resistance. You could kick into the hand, pull the foot. And the foot is, since I have my legs nice and wide, it's really moving toward my outer left hip. And then once you find that place that you might want to marinate in for a minute, as long as you are not having pain, but you are having just a strong sensation, add your breath, deepen it, and take your gaze forward. Good. Release the foot. Take your left forearm down. You can bend your elbows. Bring your palms together and take your thumbs to your forehead. Just give your back a little rest. You could shimmy your hips a little side to side. And then we'll switch. So both arms come down, shoulders stacking over elbows. Right knee bends. Option to stay right here. Or reach for the inside of the foot. Kick into the hand. Hand pulls to foot. Add those little resistance here. Square your chest forward. And breathe. Good. Slowly let that go. You could rest your hands down, head to a block or your hands, or you can do the elbows with the thumbs to the forehead. Shimmy your hips a little side to side. If your back needs a break, come up to tabletop, maybe a couple rounds cat-cow, and then come back to where we are right now. Okay, so adding on, you'll stay with Sphinx, or you can walk your fingertips forward. So you're tenting the hands, you're on your finger pads, and you're lifting your elbows up. And then you lift your armpits up toward your ears and drawing the scapula down the back, which might bring your hands closer. You can have a bend in your elbows. They can be nice and wide, and then lift your chest more. Slide the sides of your throat back like your jaw is on a train track. Take your gaze forward. Try to relax your glutes. You might wiggle your hips a little side to side. And breathe into your low back. Beautiful. Come back down. We'll slide the hands out wide. Press yourself up to table. And you can just take the bolster here out to the side. Okay, take your knees wide. Big toes touch. Sit your hips back. Doesn't matter if they touch your heels. Walk your arms forward. Bring your forehead down to a block or your mat. This should feel like a nice release for the low back. Breathe into the back body. Good. And then bring yourself back up. And we'll make our way to a seat. So legs will come out in front of you. Last little bit of work and then some really nice stretches. So you're on your seat. Take your hands next to your hips. Lift your hips up and slide your sits bones back a little bit. We want the pelvis to tilt forward. Now, your knees are bent so that both feet can be on your mat. And then you're going to sit back on your sits bones. You might take your hands underneath the thighs and feel your core engage by taking, now think about your tailbone, reaching up to the ceiling. So it's as if you're puffing up the low back and you should feel your abdominals turn on. And you can kind of test that by like opening heart, arching back, and then letting the low back round a little bit so that your core is working. Okay, stay with this or lift your right leg and breathe. And then put your right foot down and then lift your left. So it's like those toe taps we did in the beginning with a little bit more intensity. So you could just stick with that one at a time, or you might lift both. Keep yourself supported here, grabbing the thighs. Breathe. Maybe you take full boat here, Navasana. One more inhale. Exhale, come out of this, feet down. Let your back just round and hang your head down. Okay, for these next few stretches, I like to have a couple blankets propped up underneath my glutes. So you can set yourself up. And the reason that we like to bring the floor to us in our yoga practice, one, so the poses are more accessible. But two, so we stay in the right alignment. And what this does, why we do this, is it helps keep our lumbar spine in alignment. It kind of hugs in and lifts up. And then you'll bend your left knee and click your toes down on the left side. So your left knee can be out to the side. You could even have a block underneath. And your right leg is straight and extended from your hip. If it hurts to straighten it, you can bend it a little bit and slide a block or blanket underneath. And then you're just hinging here at your hips. If your spine starts to round, that's where you're gonna stop, is right here. You could have a strap and loop it around the foot, bend the elbows a little bit and pull yourself in. We're looking for a stretch though in the back of the right leg and the QL, this muscle here on the low back. Right hand reaches for foot or stays on thigh. Left fingertips can be out here to the left. And it's like your pinky toe and the one next to it is flexing toward your face while you're pressing the big toe mound forward. Good. Bring yourself back up. Straighten the left leg. Shake out the knees. I can tell my left leg is a little bit longer than the right. And then we'll switch. So you're going to bend your right knee, turn the knee out to the right, and click the toes down. So you're on the top of the right foot and the right knee is out to the side. You've got it propped up on a block or just there. Shift your sits bones back. Flex the left foot. Walk your hands forward. Stay once you start to feel the spine round. If you have more space, you can take the left hand around the left foot and your right hand can just start to creep forward or use your strap. And you're breathing. Good. Slowly release. Bring both legs out in front of you. Remember, you might want a little bend in the knees or a blanket underneath. And then walk your hands forward. You can have your strap here. Relax your face, relax your jaw, maybe close your eyes, and breathe. Good, and then release. Bend your knees. Grab whatever props you have and just bring them to the back of the mat. Come down to your back. And take your knees into the chest, just like when we started class. Maybe you'll feel the work we did in the low back. So just enjoy this. Bring some movement to the low back, some circles in one direction, and then the other. Bring both feet down to your mat. Keep them hips width distance apart. Roll your sits bones forward. Roll your tailbone down so you have a little arch in your low back. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh. And then organically, the right knee just presses forward, or you use gentle pressure on the right thigh. Find a little stretch in the outer hip. You could even sway this side to side a little bit. If you want more, you're gonna reach through the gap, interlace your fingers behind the thigh. And then find your little rock. You might have your head on a block. So you can really enjoy the stretch in the hip, the outer hip. So when I rock to my left a little bit, I feel it more deeply on the outer right thigh, glutes. So just breathe, kind of find that sticky spot and stay and breathe. Bring the shape back to center, and the left foot comes down, uncross the right. And then switch sides. So left ankle crosses over right thigh. You can use the hand to gently press forward. And stay with this. Maybe this feels like plenty right now. Or you can reach for the gap, take the shape toward your chest, and then rock a little side to side. Once you find that little sticky, fiery spot, maybe it has a little zest to it, you'll just stay and hang out and breathe. Good, bring the shape back to center. Both feet come down. And we'll take an inversion before our final resting pose. So what that might mean for you are hips up on a bolster. Maybe you root through your feet and slide a block on whatever setting feels good to you underneath the sacrum. So that's lower than your low back. You could stay in the supported bridge, or you might take both legs up to the sky, or legs up the wall, which is the best. If there's any other pose your body is asking for, take this time to do it. This is your practice, so let it serve you. Good, now just choose to stay right where you're at, especially if it feels good and you want this longer. Otherwise, bring your feet back down to your mat. You can get rid of the block and set up for your Shavasana and make it as lovely and wonderful as you can. You could slide a bolster underneath your knees. You could roll up a blanket on the kind of like a thin burrito and have it underneath your shoulder blades so that you have a little chest opener at the end. So the blanket would come out where your armpits are. You can open your arms out to the sides or cactus them. You could cover your eyes with an eye pillow. If you feel like you'll get too sleepy here, depending on what time of day it is, you can just end in a seated meditation. But wherever you choose to go right now, I want it to be a pose of complete rest and relaxation. Close your eyes and drop into your breath. Make any little movements you need so that you can find complete stillness for a few minutes. The mind wanders, you just bring your attention back to your breath. Let your mouth open a little bit, let your jaw soften. Even when we're completely still, we're still breathing. Just let gravity take over. Let the earth support you. Choose to stay here as long as you have time for. Or bring your attention back to your breath and just start with deepening your breath. Find little movements in your fingers and toes. Good. And then exhale out all your breath. So you can take in the biggest inhale that your lungs will receive. Big breath in. And exhale mouth, let it out. If you're on your back, draw your knees to your chest. Roll to one side, whatever feels the most natural in this moment. And gently press yourself up to a seat, keeping your eyes closed. And just let your hands rest. So yoga gives us this opportunity to connect our mind and our body through our breath. And that in itself is such a gift, because I don't know about you, but I tend to walk through the rest of my day somewhat just completely not paying attention to what's going on in my body. So the goal is to practice yoga as much as possible so that practice just naturally follows you off your mat. Bring your palms together in front of your heart and just tuck your chin a touch. If you set an intention for your practice, bring that back to mind. Take a big breath in. Exhale, mouth. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope you enjoy the sunshine. Namaste.